Hey guys, my name's Brittany Perkinson and I'm doing my speech today on domestic violence and the abuse of females. A few statistics before I get into this is that 1 in 5 female in the United States are abused. 1 in 5 females. That is a huge number. 1 in 7 females are stalked. Out of all females in the United States, 1 in 7 of them are stalked by a male counterpart. And 1 in 10 of them are raped by either a person that they don't know or they are married to. 94% of all murder-suicides, the victim is a female. 94% the victim is a female. Now that's going to lead me into my story that I kind of want to give you guys about myself. The reason why I don't have an audience right now, and I know that I'm probably going to get dinged on that, but it's just something that I have to do, and it's something that the reason why I'm doing this speech is because I want to make an awareness to females out there about what can happen if you do get into a relationship with someone like this. And I want to make it known that there are people out there that can help you and you can get out of it and you will be safe, and you just have to seek proper help in order to be able to get out of the relationship. I'm going to tell you about a personal experience that I have with my mother-in-law. Her name was Tracy Vaughn, and she was a wonderful person. I am going to hold up a picture of her as I tell her story, because right now all we have is pictures and fond memories of her. This was my mother-in-law, Tracy Vaughn. She was abused by her boyfriend. She had 4 boys, and one was only 4 years old at the time. Me and my husband now have custody of her child. Tracy was a loving mother. She was a wonderful mother. She was always there for her children when they needed her. She worked hard and she got everything done that she ever needed to do. She met this one man who is actually the child that we have custody of. It's his father. And it seemed to go fine from the beginning. When we first met him, everything seemed that he was a nice person. There was really no red flags, honestly. After a while, things started to happen, and, we kind of started to question whether or not it was a truthful story that she was telling us, but we had no reason not to believe her. It's just sometimes it didn't really make sense to us. She did get her ankle broken pretty bad, and we asked her how that happened, and she said that she tripped and fell. After that, she was in a wheelchair. She had to have pins and screws in her ankle, and her boyfriend at that point took immaculate care of her. Probably better than anybody in a hospital or caregiver would have taken care of her. He did a wonderful job. So that kind of made us not think, well, maybe he didn't do it. But maybe that's why he was taking such good care of her. And now that's what we think. It went on, and then it came to a point in time where he had choked her really, really bad, and she really couldn't hide it because she had bruises all over her face and her neck. He had choked her to the point where she was actually coughing up blood, and she had to go to the hospital. So when we first saw her after this occurred, she didn't call anybody. She didn't let anybody know that this happened. She actually just arrived at a family function looking the way that she did. I immediately ran over to her before my husband seen her, and I was like, Tracy, what happened to you? And she was like, my boyfriend, he choked me and he punched me. And I said, did you call the police? And she said, I did. And the police were taking out a protective order. And I said, Tracy, you have to go through with a protective order because this is not safe and he can really hurt you. So time went on and the story seemed to change. She would, at the beginning, she would tell me that she was fearful and she didn't want to be with him anymore. But as time went on, the story kind of changed to, you'll have to understand, I do love him. He is the father of my child. And I had seen that, and, to me, I don't understand how anybody could ever love someone that did this to them. But it's completely different when you're in the situation, and I now understand that. Especially after, writing this speech, it helps me understand a little bit more. On January the 29th of 2022, he arrived at her place of business where he beat her. She was scared to go to her home and stay the night that night, so she did come here and she did stay the night with us. She stayed the night with us for 2 nights, and on January the 31st, my birthday, I arrived home to find her laying in my backyard. When I got home, I immediately started CPR on her, but there was nothing that anyone could do. With that being said, abuse is not okay. Whether it be physical, whether it be mental, any kind of abuse is not okay. And females need to understand that this is a reality and that this can happen. We now have custody of a beautiful little boy who's growing up with my 3 children, but he will never have his mother. My husband will never have his mother, and I will never have my mother-in-law because of domestic violence. Moving on from that, there is a thing called Stockholm Syndrome that I learned about after the death of my mother-in-law. Stockholm Syndrome allows the person that is being abused to cope with the abuse. It gives them reasons that maybe something could have happened. And there are a couple theories about why there is Stockholm Syndrome. And the first theory is that it's passed down from our ancestors. So way back when our ancestors would be kidnapped, especially females, they would learn to adapt to the person who kidnapped them because they had a better chance of survival if they learned to adapt to their situation that they were in. The second abuse is it's very emotional. You love this person. You've confided in this person. You've had children with this person, okay? So it's a very emotional situation. So a lot of times with Stockholm Syndrome, the female will actually try and sympathize with the abuser. Well, they had a bad childhood, so this is why he does this. Or, well, his dad used to treat his mom this way, so this is why he treats me this way. And instead of seeing your worth as a female and getting out of that situation, a female's natural instinct is to try and fix. And sometimes we just can't try and fix, the problems that people have that are deep down within. There's also something called trauma bonding. I don't know if you have ever heard of trauma bonding or not, but there is something called trauma bonding. And the first part of that is the tension building. So your relationship is going great, it's going fine, and then all of a sudden it just builds up tension. And you guys are butting heads about everything. Then there's the first act of violence. So it's the first time that the male abuser chokes you or punches you or pushes you or anything like that to create that fear level within your relationship. And the second is a reconciliation phase. So it's where your abuser's like, I didn't mean to hit you like that. I'm so sorry. I didn't mean to choke you. I didn't mean to hurt you. Come here. Let me hold you. That's not what I meant to do. When in fact, it is what he meant to do. And he sees that you're upset and there's a chance of him losing you. So he's going to rope you back into that situation. Then there's the calm stage. And the calm stage, I like to say, is the planning stage. So when your abuser is in the calm stage, after everything is blown over and the sorries and the I love yous are said, the calm stage is when they're planning their next attack. It's when they're planning what they're going to do to you next. As females, we try and we deny the red flag. So, oh, well, that just doesn't seem right. I don't know why he would say things like that. Or, he did this the other day and that just didn't seem right. Things that are red flags in our head, we tend to look over because we can come up with some type of idea as to why we think that way. Another thing that females tend to do with the trauma bonding is that they will isolate themselves from the people who mean the most. So they will isolate themselves from family, or they will isolate themselves from friends. And then it's the justification of why the abuse is occurring that we like to do. And I will tell you, in my mother-in-law's case, I've seen all of this with her. Absolutely all of it. Now, she always loved spending time with her family and things like that. So that one maybe not so much, but the denying of the red flags and the trying to come up with ideas as to why he was doing these things to her, and maybe even sometimes they were her fault. She did these things, so that's why he acted the way that he did. I've seen all of those with my mother-in-law. And I think with females, if we get stories out there like my mother-in-law's story, I hope and pray that it will click within themselves, that they're like, this is the relationship that I am in. This is dangerous. 94% of females die that are in a domestic violence relationship. 94% pass away. That's an astonishing number. In order to break the cycle, there are a few things that you can do. The first thing that I like to say is you can keep notes. You can keep tabs of what is being said. So if he punched you this day, or he called you worthless or whatever, you need to write that down with a date, so you can go back and refer to why you need to leave them, or why you did leave them if they try to come back. The second is to seek help from family and friends. You have to be honest, and you cannot lie to your family and friends. If somebody is treating you bad, or if somebody is saying bad things to you, you need to confide in your family and friends, and they will help get you out of that situation. Never lie to them about that. You also need to nurture yourself. Do what makes you feel good. If it's going to the gym, if it's losing weight, if it's doing your makeup daily, or whatever it is that makes you feel good about yourself, you have to raise your self-esteem. And then you have to cut all contact. All Facebook, TikTok, Twitter, Instagram, phone, texting, whatever it may be. You have to cut contact with the abuser. You cannot have any type of contact with them at all. And I'm going to leave it on this. There is a domestic violence hotline that you can call. And if anybody out there that's listening to my speech right now is in this type of relationship, or anything that I've described, you're thinking, hey, that's kind of me, but you're not sure how to leave, or you're not sure who to talk to, or who to tell, or where will I go because he makes the most money, call this number. I think they can help you. It's 1-800-838-8238. They're available 24 hours a day, 7 days a week, 365 days a year. Please give them a call if you have any questions. Thanks. Bye.